council meeting of October 6th, 2020 is called to order. And I think we'll rise and have Kathy McDowell lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Donna, will you do a roll call, please?
I will. Councilmember Bode,
Here.
Councilmember Feast,
Here.
Councilmember Inesco,
Here.
Mayor Dorsey,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Peterson,
Here.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Here.
and Councilmember McDowell.
Present.
Okay, moving on. Does council have any late changes to the agenda? Okay,
I do have one late change, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I would like to add item number 5 under section F of your action agenda for this evening. It's a complementary piece to the CARES Act supplemental funding contract that you're going to be considering this evening that deals with a grant program that we're working on with the EDC.
all right. At this time, I want to remind the members of the public that they can make comments during the public comment period, as well as the business agenda and the action agenda. And here's how you can do that. Option number 1, join the Zoom meeting by clicking on the link that is displayed on the city's webpage. The link is listed on the agendas and minutes page under the tab that says more. Option 2, you can email City Manager Jeff Knighton. And option number 3, you can call Jeff's office phone. Both the email address and the phone number are displayed on the screen of Mason Web TV's streaming video. All right. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as published?
Motion to
Go ahead.
consent agenda as published.
All right.
Second.
And we have a second from Eric. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Donna, do we have anyone interested in making a public comment?
Yes, we do. We have Dale Elmland, and let me
Okay.
ask him to unmute. And then Dale, you have 3 minutes, so you may begin.
Thank you so very much. The public comment I'd like to make at this time is the making the mention of the trees along Railroad Avenue. It was a wonderful idea 30 years ago when we planted the trees. And we all know that they're starting to look at a maintenance issue going to be causing us a financial issue coming up in the next 4 or 5 years, replacing sidewalk panels, removing trees, replanting trees. We tried an option down on 7th Street and on 2nd Street with planters, but they were at the intersection corners, which caused traffic visual boundaries, intersection problems with visual turning. So those planter boxes, those cement planter boxes aren't an option at the intersections, but they are an option in the middle of the blocks where the trees are pushing up the sidewalks. And that's what I'd like to have the city look at in the next year to 2 years, is to start removing the trees one at a time or 2 at a time in the middle of the blocks, putting the cement big planters, putting in nobles, Doug fir, hemlock, whatever native trees at 3 foot tall, let them grow no larger than 10 feet. And then the city can remove the tree, planting a new one every 10 years or so. which is no destruction to the city sidewalks. And a electrical riser can be run up from where the tree housing is currently, so that if they want to light the trees, they can. That saves the city money for maintenance and reconstruction of the sidewalks in the future. And for the maintenance crews, the city maintenance crews, putting on lights during the holidays too. That's it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, we'll move on. Next on the agenda is a proclamation for a clean energy community. Deputy Mayor Peterson, will you please read the proclamation?
Certainly. City of Shelton designating the City of Shelton a clean energy community proclamation. Whereas Washington State continues to be a national leader in clean energy policy and recognizes the benefits for our climate, our planet, and our residents. And whereas Washington State has set a goal to be powered by 100% clean energy by 2045. And whereas the city receives its energy from Mason County PUD number 3, whose fuel mix consists of resources that are already on average 98% or more carbon free. And whereas Mason County, City of Shelton, and the entire Pacific Northwest have benefited for over 80 years from the low-cost preference hydropower that makes up the majority of our public utility district's energy resources, thus making Shelton a more affordable place to live and conduct business. And whereas the city intends to continue to stimulate and recruit economic development to expand the city's tax base, providing jobs and public services for Shelton families, and whereas the city recognizes the role that clean, affordable energy plays in the ability to effectively sustain our community. And whereas there are approximately 1,060 kilowatts of solar that are interconnected with PUD3's power grid, and whereas PUD3 has offered energy efficiency programs that have helped save its customers more than 64,081,579 kilowatt hours in energy costs over the last decade, which is enough to power approximately 4,755 homes. And whereas PUD3 and the City of Shelton have converted all of the city's streetlights from high-pressure sodium fixtures to energy-efficient light-emitting diode luminaries. And whereas the city is committed to helping Washington State achieve its clean energy goals and reduce its overall energy consumption. And whereas the term clean energy encompasses many thriving business sectors, including energy efficiency, renewable energy, electric vehicles, clean fuels, energy storage, and advanced grid technologies that are critical to the health and economic growth of Shelton and its citizens. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Shelton pledges to collaborate with Mason County PUD number 3 to help facilitate the permitting of rooftop solar arrays. And the City of Shelton pledges to collaborate with Mason County PUD number 3 to help facilitate the deployment of zero-emission vehicle charging infrastructure within the city limits. And the City of Shelton pledges to add the consideration of electric vehicles when replacing city fleet. And the City of Shelton pledges to seek financial rebates for weatherization and energy efficiency upgrades, when appropriate, at city-owned facilities. And the City of Shelton hereby designated as a clean energy community and shall help Mason County PUDs number 1 and 3 facilitate the installation of signs at designated entrances to the city to highlight this designation to visitors and residents. Signed the 6th day of October, 2020.
All right, thank you, Deidre. Now I know why I had you read that instead of me.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll move on. The only item on the business agenda is a grant recommendations from the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. City Clerk Donna Knott will give us more information.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. I have information for you from the LTAC grant recommendations. Each year, the city accepts applications requesting funding from a dedicated revenue source provided by the collection of lodging tax and motel hotel tax in the city. If you have looked over your briefing form, you see all of the grants that were awarded in 2020. Those details are there. The LTAC met on September 25th, 2020 to review the grant applications that were submitted for 2021 for tourism grant funding. The city received 7 grant applications. 6 of the grant applications were for ongoing projects for events or services, and 1 grant application was specific to gateway signage along Highway 101. And the recommendations of the LTAC are as follows.
Donna, if I may, at this
Yes.
moment, I'm going to recuse myself from the conversation as I work for the chamber, who is one of the applicants this evening. So if you'll let me know what time I should come back, I will return to my computer at that time.
Okay, I'll text you. How about that?
That works great.
Okay, on your city phone. Okay, the LTAC recommends the following tourism grant funds for 2021. Christmastown Kiwanis Bluegrass from the Forest, $6,300. Mason County Forest Festival Association, $8,910. Mason County Historical Museum Visitor Center, $11,250. Mason County Historical Society Downtown Car Show and Ice Cream Social, $1,782. Northwest Event Organizers and Christmastown Kiwanis for Christmastown 2020, $12,330. Felton Mason County Chamber of Commerce Visitor Center, $18,000. And Shelton Mason County Chamber of Commerce WASDOT Gateway Signage Project, $3,307.50. And the total of all of those recommendations for 2021 is $61,879.50. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
The list has Northwest Event Organizers, Christmastown Kiwanis, Christmastown 2020. Is that supposed to be 2021?
That is an excellent question.
Christmas 2020, I'm assuming, because last year we LTAC funded Christmas.
Days and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Because of the time of the year, it is for 2020, but it would be
Right.
paid to them in 2021,
I see.
It was at the end of the year, so it's,
unless we move
Okay, yeah.
Christmas.
I don't think we have the power to do that.
I hope not.
I have a,
I do though.
So maybe
I-
I'm being dense here, but so the 2021 request for that is for 2021's event that will be paid in 2021. So do we anticipate a Christmastown 2020 this year?
This is for events to take place in December of 2020.
Right, and we're in October.
Right. Yeah, last year we made an exception to basically fund for the 2019 Christmas season using the 2020 budget line item, the LTAC budget line item, for that one thing, just due to the time of the year it was in.
So I also think that if we appropriate this money, or if council desires to appropriate this money, and then due to the public health emergency, the event does not take place, then the dollars will not be expended.
So that was going to be my other question is, and I apologize, Eric, is that of the things that we funded in this last year, what events didn't happen and what happened to those funds?
So those funds were not expended for things like the Forest Festival and other things because they didn't occur. So they do revert to the fund that they came from.
Councilmember Inesco, did you have a question?
oh, I just had a question. I don't see anything on here for the Hanson's Overlook Park project. Did they not request any help this year?
No.
Northwest Event Organizers.
Is that what
Your
they are?
request is specific to Christmastown
Oh,
2020.
okay.
They didn't do a request for what they called last year, the Beauchamp Santa.
Okay,
So what those funds were for was to build the base. And now that the base is built, I don't think anything else is required to continue that.
I just remember some talk they were going to change out often, and they put up the oyster guy. I didn't know if they were asking for funds to do stuff like that for a few times a year or not.
Yeah, I believe that money was just to construct the base.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
I just have one comment.
Oh,
So we only received 7 applications this year.
yes.
Wow.
That's about average.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
talked about it last year too. Yeah.
Okay.
Last year was
Yeah,
a little more because there were some one-time projects.
I mean, I guess I would just be, this is a great opportunity to take local tourism tax dollars and pump it right back into the local community. And not that I'm downplaying any of these projects on the list, but any opportunity that we can to promote things like this. I don't know if maybe, Jeff, if maybe for next year, something we can talk about how we maybe advertise or market the LTAC opportunities a little bit more widely, cast a little bit of a wider net. But like I said, these are great projects and everything, but it'd be great to see if there's anything else out there that maybe people are just unaware that there's opportunity for funding.
Absolutely. We can do that.
And just for good of the order, I will say this. I think that, now more than ever, well, always, I should say, we need as much traffic into our downtown as possible and into our city as a whole. So where we have opportunity to increase that traffic, like projects like the Gateway Signage Project, I think that it's a missed opportunity when we don't fully fund those types of projects.
Agreed.
And
Okay, so staff is recommending the council concur to move this.
Dale has his hand up.
Oh, sorry, Dale.
No, that's quite all right. I'm
Do
just
you
a
want to
lonely,
make a public comment?
I would like to make a public comment.
Okay, let me look at my time here. Just 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
The chamber and the city have had a project on the table for Tolly for a long time. And Tolly has been looking very shabby. We wanted to get it covered. We wanted to get it looking better. We wanted to make it a better focal point downtown. It is a national historical site, and we should be looking honestly at getting a few dollars and a plan set aside. I know the chamber's got something put together, right, Deidre? To get the Tolly spruced up. That's it.
All right,
Okay, thank you.
thanks, Dale. All right. So staff recommends recommends the council to concur to move this item to the action agenda for the August 20th. Everybody agree?
Yes.
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 Okay. First item on the action agenda is a resolution to cancel the 2020 chip seal contract.
Mr. Mayor, if you'd,
Ken Gill will share the information with us.
Mr. Mayor, if we'll wait just a second until Deputy Mayor Peterson.
Oh,
there we
here
go.
she comes. Donna Calder.
Thank you.
Just click on the text.
Yeah.
I was waiting with bated breath.
There's Ken. All right. Ken, you're up.
Good evening, council. It's good to see all your smiling faces, even though it is on a computer screen. So I'm just going to share my screen with you here real quick. So what you should see in front of you is what was part of our bid documents in the chip seal. So the wide blue line between the hospital and Wallace Nealon is what we had proposed this year. So backing up to the 1st of September, we awarded that piece of the work to Doolittle Construction. after they were awarded the contract, they said, hey, we don't have enough warm weather to complete the work. So we won't, with every public works project that we have, Shelton gets a 1-year warranty with their work. And they said, hey, we don't have the weather. It's too late in the year. We've got other work going on. We want to do it next year. So that went back with legal, and we decided that Little Government recommended that that would be unfair to the other bidders if we kicked it ahead a year. And I think that was a really good move, because I always want Shelton to be known as a city that's fair to bidders. And the more that we promote that, the lower our bids will get. So Doolittle is a good contractor. They agreed to cancel the contract and rebid on our project next year. So the funds that aren't awarded, and they're about just over $135,000 that we were set to award, will go back into the budget for next year. So we'll have a little bit bigger pot next year, hopefully be able to knock off both the blue and the red shown on the map. So that's what I'd presented tonight. I don't have anything else. If you got any other questions, I'm here to answer any questions that any of you have.
It's a nice week this week to do it.
Ken, it was this is Kevin. It didn't have anything to do with the 13th Street, just, what is that, a quarter mile? Wasn't enough for them to come over for, or?
The question I heard you say, Mayor Dorsey, was that the quantity of work too small?
Yeah.
And no, it wasn't. They're a good company. They want to stand behind their work, and they don't want to put down a product that's just going to peel up because they don't have the
correct
high temperatures that will make it stay put.
Okay.
And Ken, are there any plans in-house to do any temporary preventative maintenance on those roadways, since we're not getting a chip seal coat on there? Are we anticipating any additional in-house work to be completed this season?
I'm expecting them to hang in there for another year, Councilmember Peterson. We certainly will go take a look at that to make sure that we address your concerns. But just the preliminary windshield surveys that I've done with Todd Rhodes, our streets foreman, doesn't indicate that, but we will double check and make sure that I can answer yes to your question.
Thank you.
I have a quick one. And then what was the time frame from when we approved that contract to when they determined that they couldn't do the work?
So we approved it on September 1st. And then I'd have to kick back and look at some emails to when they finally said no, Councilmember Bone. But a fairly short period of time, a week or two.
Okay.
And Ken or Jeff, perhaps you could answer. It's atypical for us to be entering into the chip seal contract so late in the year. In future years, that's something that we would hope to get on calendar and approved early on, so there's a little more flexibility in the schedule with weather and permitting. I know that this year has been its own beast, but would it be safe to say that that's the case?
Yeah, I can answer that question. Yes. To your question, should we start out earlier next year? Yes. Last year's chip seals project started out before our residential paving project. City Manager Knighton was the project manager, many of you know, for that project, and can talk about that one and how it was done earlier in the year. So we marched forward once we got the green light that we had budget for both, and we were able to get the residential paving done, but unfortunately we just didn't get the chip seal. So next year we'll probably start out the chip seal a little earlier and try to get it completed and going before we get the residential paving done.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to mention there, this year we didn't want to expend any funds while we were still navigating through COVID, which is why the bid was a little bit late. And then when we decided to bid it, there ought to still have been time, we thought, but ran into some problems there. Council approved it on September 1st, and then the Friday, September 18th is when everybody decided to cancel the contract. So that would have been just shy of 3 weeks.
All right. Donna, do we have any public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor, we do not.
All right. Can you give me a can you give me a reading of resolution number 1173-0920?
Resolution number 1173-0920, a resolution of the Council of the City of Shelton, Washington, canceling the 2020 chip seal contract award and rejecting all bids.
All right, we have a reading. Do we have a motion?
I move to adopt resolution number 1173-0920, a resolution canceling the 2020 chip seal contract award and rejecting all bids.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Anybody have any more questions or comments? All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 1173-0920, a resolution canceling the 2020 chip seal contract award and rejecting all bids. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, right now we are recessing from our regular meeting to open a public hearing about refunding debt. Finance Director Aaron B. Miller has details for us about the ordinance of refunding debt. Hey, Aaron.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members. Aaron B. Miller with the city's finance department. We've touched on this subject a couple of times now, one time in a presentation and then, excuse me, then at the September 15th council meeting. The city is moving forward on refunding 7 separate debt issuances into one refunding debt. The debt that we are refunding is not a limited tax general obligation debt, but however, we are refunding all 7 of those into one. That will give us the maximum savings because it puts the full faith and credit of the city behind that, and that will help with our interest rates moving forward. Couple of things about the refunding and the ordinance itself. The refunding will not exceed $10 million. It's actually looking like it's going to come in somewhere right around $9.1 million. The final maturity of the debt will not be extended. In fact, what we are doing is we're reducing the amount of years that many of those debt instruments will be out there in order to pay off that debt at a faster rate. The true interest cost of the debt cannot exceed 4%. The bonds that are sold have to have a net present value of 3%. And then I, as the finance director, am required at the next reasonable opportunity to report back to council on how we did on the refunding, and that we kept within all of the containment strategies that we have here. So the bonds are scheduled at this point in time to be sold on October 14th, and they would close on October 28th. One thing that we have learned is we have completed our rating process with Standard & Poor's. The city was affirmed their A+ rating with a stable outlook. That's really good in this environment, in the COVID environment. It really does show that the council and the city manager are really taking care of business from a finance perspective. Did want to just give you a little snippets on the rating that we received. A lot of it was really, really positive. Strong management, good financial policies and practices, good budgetary performance, strong budget flexibility, strong liquidity with our fund balance numbers, strong debt and contingent liability profile, which means that we don't have a lot of carrying. We're at about 10.8% of that, and good institutional framework. So the things that we really can control, we did well on. Where we did get a less positive rating was on the economy itself, our dependence on sales tax, which is often a volatile revenue source, as well as the per capita earning of the area. So all of those into the shaker. What came out was a A+ rating with a stable outlook. So they affirmed our previous rating, but all in all, it's a really good report for us. And it gives us something to point toward for improvements where we can. So we are still in the process of dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's in order to get the sale out on the 14th. Still looks good, but if any of that changes, of course, we'll let you know. We are projecting, I've asked for a new projection, but at least on the last projection that I received, we're looking like we'll save about $2.5 million over the life of the bonds by doing this. So it's a good, I think it's a good move all in all. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Bring on that AA. The AA rating.
I would just like to add that I'm very appreciative of Aaron's efforts doing a budget and a bond refunding at the same time. That's a heavy lift. Either one of those is a heavy lift for anyone. Doing both of those at the same time and doing it well is a testament to the strength that we have in our finance department. So I wanted to put that out there.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, very, very much appreciated, Aaron. All right. Has anyone signed up for public testimony?
There's no one signed up, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
I do have something to say about that. What's up with that, Aaron? We had public comment before, but your stuff comes up and people drop out. So
Yeah.
I pay a lot of money to make that happen.
again, so I think that's a testament, though, to all of your hard work, and and thanks to you and Jeff, and fiscal responsibility and transparency is such a big deal. So thanks.
Here, here. All right, at this time, we'll ask for a second reading of ordinance number 1955-0820.
Hey, here we go. Again, this is a really long title there, Mr. B. Miller.
Okay.
Ordinance number 1955-0820. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the issuance of one or more series of limited tax general obligation refunding bonds in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $10 million for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding obligations of the city, approving the sale of the bonds, and delegating the authority to approve the final terms of the bonds.
All right, thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
We have a motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 1955-0820, authorizing and approving the issuance of one or more series of limited tax general obligation bonds for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding obligations of the city as described in the ordinance.
I'll second that.
Any more comments? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right. This public hearing is closed, and now we open another public hearing about cable TV franchise agreements. City Manager Jeff Knighton has details for us about an ordinance regarding cable TV franchise agreements.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. We discussed this at our last meeting, but we have been working on a franchise agreement for Comcast and for Hood Canal Communications for quite some time. We were able to get everything put together in a manner that's acceptable to the city and to both the providers, and the franchise agreements that are attached to this ordinance comply with Shelton Municipal Code 5.44 and all applicable state and federal regulations. Nothing else has changed from the first reading of this ordinance. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
No questions, all right?
Just thank you for working on this so hard. It's been a priority at the council for several years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For staying on it for as long as you have, it's terrific. All right, has anyone signed up for public testimony, Donna?
We don't have anyone signed up, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And we'll ask for a second reading of ordinance number 1956-0920.
Ordinance number 1956-0920, an ordinance of the City of Shelton, Washington, granting cable television franchises and adopting franchise agreements to govern Comcast Cable Communications and Hood Canal Communications within the city limits.
All right. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve ordinance 1956-0920 as presented.
Second.
All right. Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 1956-0920 as presented. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. This public hearing is closed and we will resume the regular meeting. One more item from Jeff, information about a supplemental contract to the CARES Act.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of council. The CARES Act was approved by the federal government earlier this year and provided direct funding to states and municipalities of 500,000 people or more. The state share of that was distributed to local governments based on a formula. And our initial share of those dollars was $306,600, which council approved the contract earlier this year. The additional contract, the additional dollars that are available to us under the CARES Act are $153,300. And that's supplemental to what we received before for a total of $459,900. In order to request reimbursement, we need to approve the contract and allow me to sign the contract and send it back to the Department of Commerce. And Don, our finance specialist in the finance department, will be the delegated contact for the Department of Commerce for the purposes of this contract. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
All right. Do we have anybody for public comment on this, Donna?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
All right, do we have a motion?
I move to approve the interagency agreement with the Washington Department of Commerce Amendment A by authorizing the city manager to sign the attached agreement.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the interagency agreement with the Washington Department of Commerce Amendment A by authorizing the city manager to sign the attached agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll move on. Jeff, will you give us your city manager report?
Mr. Mayor, we did have a late addition for the small business grant program, item number 5. And I can go over that now with you if you like.
Sure.
So we have a resolution Resolution 1176 1020. And what this resolution entails is a grant program that the city has been working on with the CARES dollars that council just approved, with some of the CARES dollars that council just approved, to work with our local EDC to provide small business grants for those businesses in our community that are in need of help and in need of a way to stay in business until we can address, until nationally we can address the public health crisis and get everybody back to work. I've worked with council over the last several weeks designing the program and worked with the EDC, and this resolution allows us to provide $40,000 to the EDC, and that the EDC can then use to disperse grants in the amount of $2,500 to eligible businesses. This is, I think, a good use of the federal dollars to help those businesses in our community and preserve those jobs in our community that we can do everything we can to preserve. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and if you have a preferred, or if council desires to approve this, a preferred motion would be I approve resolution 1176-1020 as presented. Happy to answer any question.
What are their eligibility requirements?
We kept the eligibility requirements very broad. Businesses are 20 employees or less. So we're focused on small businesses in our community. They are, and then the criteria that they run through is perceived local benefit. So, and what that means in practice is something like a restaurant would be preferred over a mini storage, something like that. And local ownership within Mason County. We wanted to make sure that we preserve those local businesses, or do what we can to preserve those local businesses and local jobs as much as we can. But other than that, we wanted to keep it broad, and the eligible expenses also broad, because the folks that run those businesses know best where the money would be spent better than we do, or than we would, and it's best to let them make those decisions to preserve their livelihoods.
And what's the total number of grants that we anticipate? Is it 16 for the $40,000?
16.
So no admin costs for the delivery of the grant.
No, we wanted to make sure that we, of the money that we were granting to the EDC and then to local businesses, all of that went to the benefit of the community as much as possible. So no admin costs are associated.
Great, thank you.
All right, anything else there, guys? All right, do we have a motion to approve resolution number 1176?
Mayor,
Yes.
I probably should read that resolution.
Oh, okay. You probably should.
Would you like me to do that now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Because I haven't done anything all meeting, I got to do one more
I
thing.
know. I don't know why you're here.
Resolution number 1176-1020, a resolution of the City of Shelton, Washington, approving a memorandum of understanding between the city and the Economic Development Council of Mason County concerning administration of the Small Business COVID-19 Relief Grant Program.
All right. Now, do we have an emotion to approve resolution 1176-1020 as presented?
So moved. That work?
That works.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I'll write that here. All right. The announcement of our next meeting will be Tuesday, October 20th, 2020 at 6.
Wait, point of order, Kevin. Apologies.
Yes.
We skipped over Jeff's city manager report.
Oh, we did,
Well,
didn't we?
I'd
I'm
love
sorry.
to let him
Yep.
off the hook early. He looks much too chipper at the prospect, so.
He probably doesn't have anything, right?
No, there's nothing going on. I think Donna
Yeah.
talks enough for both of us. A couple things I wanted to mention. First, there's been discussion at the State of the Community address and in other places about the new Wendy's and the Starbucks that are looking to locate in the city. And I'm very happy to report that on a very short timeline, that development did receive land use approvals earlier this week. So that is out the door, and we've also got the first round of building comments back to them. And I can tell you that's an exceedingly short timeline, and we are very happy to work with the developers of that project to make that a reality. Not just because I want a Baconator and a Frosty, but that may have played a secondly, our police chief and a police chief hire, that is something that we're working very diligently on. We received 16 applications from all around the country, from Burlington, Vermont to San Diego, and we even received an application from Sydney, Australia, believe it or not. We took those 16 applications and reviewed them with Michelle, our Administrative Services Director, and with Chief Moody, and are bringing in 8 terrific candidates for both a community panel and a staff panel to interview on Monday and Tuesday of next week. From that group of 8, there will be finalists referred to me from both of those committees. And we're going to ask those finalists to produce a 2 to 5 minute video with a deadline of 8 a.m. on the 20th, so I can play those videos for the council at our next council meeting and introduce our finalists to the community. We are also designing a community open house, a meet and greet, virtual meet and greet for the 21st at 4 p.m. so that during these times when we can't all get together, we still want as much public input as possible into this process to help us make that decision. And then I will interview the finalists myself on the 23rd, and we hope to announce a candidate on in early November, first week of November. So the process is moving along really well, and I'm very pleased at the number of applicants that we received and the diversity of the applicants we received. Of the semifinalists that'll be interviewing next week, there are 5 men and 3 women. They are from various parts of the country and all have significant law enforcement background experience. So very happy about that. Next, I wanted to mention I got 2 great compliments today from our community on our street supervisor, Todd Rhodes, and his work out in the community, going above and beyond his specified duties to help people, to address concerns. And whenever we get calls like that, we want to highlight the great work that the people here and that work with us here at the city are doing for the community. And I'm very appreciative of the things that that Todd does for us and for the city of Shelton. And lastly, I wanted to mention that, and I want to get this right, so I'm gonna read this off my phone here. Peninsula Credit Union across the street from City Hall received a CDFI grant, and that is CDFI stands for Community Development Financial Institutions. And that grant is a significant, pretty significant amount of money, but it is specifically for workforce housing and affordable housing here in the community. And that's going to help the community a great deal. And we can't wait to work with those folks to make more housing affordable, or make more affordable housing and workforce housing choices here in Shelton, because it's a great community. It's a great place to live. We just need to provide the rooftops for the people who live here. And that's what this grant will help Peninsula Credit Union and the city of Shelton to do. So with that, happy to answer any questions if you have any. But very, very glad about the great news coming out of our community lately. It's a good thing.
Yeah, we haven't done Employee of the Month for quite some time.
We do Employee of the Year, and they get to go to dinner with me at the festival. I'm sure everybody is thrilled about that. You can't believe the number of people that are fighting to get on that list. Maybe we can go to Wendy's.
Just say next year you can go to Wendy's.
Yeah, exactly.
Wendy's and a Starbucks. There you go. When's the plan to start removing the building or demolition over there?
The land use approvals went out yesterday, as a matter of fact. So that is that's up to the contractor, but now they have the certainty of those approvals in their hand, and they can start planning their project scope and their timeline and everything else.
Jeff, I just had a thought. You know, we were discussing that street yesterday, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That loops in there around what's that place called, in the car wash? And
yeah, it's right behind the car wash and the oil change, Jack in the Box. That
Jack in the Box, yeah.
That was.
Is there any way? You know, we McDonald's do a little extra work. I'm wondering if we can somehow give it back.
So that is definitely something we're going to be considering. If anybody is interested, why that was accepted by the city as a public street is a mystery. But we'll be looking at that. It's 24 feet wide. It won't ever meet public road standards, and the city has to maintain it because it's a public road. So we'll be looking at options to do that along with other surplus property. But I want to provide council with a comprehensive picture of the properties we own and not do it piecemeal. Unless there's something council wants to move on quickly. I really think it needs to be a thoughtful, comprehensive process, and that's one of the things we have on our work program next year, along with various other pieces. We own single-family residential lots, which are much better served in the hands of the private sector. But I'll present those to you all at once, and we can discuss the merits of each individual property and where they ought to be.
Is this Northview Court Circle? Is that what that is?
That's it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, there's no advantage for us to have it, right?
When I never thought about it, but when our city engineer Ken told me that was a public road, I looked at him funny, and I'm sure, you know, when he saw it, he kind of looked at it funny too. I don't know why we own it, but we do. So, and we'll consider that in the future.
I'd like to buy it and donate it back and call it the Kathy McDowell Memorial Highway or something like that. That'd be cool.
It can't be memorial.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Memorial?
Not yet.
Oh, she's still with us.
Oh, no.
Man.
Sometimes I'm with her.
Oh, Jeff.
Sometimes I'm gone.
Man, I love you, Kathy.
Well, we
Thanks,
certainly,
Bill.
we certainly don't want to, you know, Wendy's and Starbucks away, but I'm just wondering if, you know, I'm gonna let you and Ken Gill handle that.
We that was one of the issues that we had to work through, and Ken worked through that in a very expeditious and realistic manner, and I think it worked for everybody.
All right. Anything else, council?
The only other thing that I would say is that, you know, those folks need to advertise that they have new buildings. And so, you know, where we can partner and have them support our, here's Shelton, everybody, stop in
That's
on
right.
in. It'd be really fabulous if we can get going on that too.
No, I think that this is going to be a great addition. I mean, we all do, and I think it'll help bring more people to Shelton as well. Anyway, So anything else, council? If not, our meeting is adjourned at, what time is it? 6:54. Oh, our next meeting will be Tuesday, October 20th at 6 o'clock. Now our meeting is adjourned at 6:55.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.